Welcome to everybody to join this program today. I am Rishabh Pugalia, your host for this today's demo. Right. So a quick brief about myself before I begin my discussion. Right. So I'm Rishabh and I'm from India, and previous to designing courses for professionals, I worked with KPMG Audit. I also worked with the trading desk where I used to trade on interest rate futures, and I worked with JP Morgan once upon in time. And since last 8 years, I regularly train professionals on BI, Excel analytics, and Power BI. And in fact, I regularly conduct sessions at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst& Young, Flipkart, and many more such companies. So coming straight to the point, given that we have a very less time, and I have this quick presentation for you. So in short, for those who have not used Power BI or Query or Pivot, let me share something with you. Amongst the 5 members, there are 3 very important members: Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power BI. And the magic is lying in the intersection of these 3 technologies. Now, before I show you theoretically why do we need to learn this, let me straight away go to an example which will demonstrate why is this so important. So for now, I'm disabling the chat window and focusing more on the question. Rishabh, what is the connection between Power Query and Power BI and Power Pivot? So let me tell you something. We can collect the data, blend the data, prepare the data, and make sure the data is ready for visualization. So Power Query and Power Pivot helps you do that. Let me show an example. This is a website of Association of Mutual Funds in India. It's called amphiindia.com. Now, they regularly publish the NAV, the value of each mutual fund unit, for multiple mutual fund schemes, and I can see the download button there, right? I click on that and there's one link which says download complete NAV report in text format. This is updated every day. Now, when I look at the link, it's all different parts of the mutual fund schemes. What is the name of the schemes and what is the NAV value, the end value each day that is being computed. And this is coming from this link called TXT. It's a text file. Now imagine you are a portfolio manager. You have to regularly visualize the status of the portfolio. If you wish to get these values out regularly, daily, you'll have to do this in Excel, and a lot of data cleaning is involved. So I wish to automate this and then connect with visualization. So I copy the link. I go to Excel, I'll make it fast so that you get a flavor of why Power Query, why Power Pivot, or for that matter, Power BI. I go to Data tab. Now, if you're using Excel 2016 version, the Power Query is inbuilt in 2016 version under the Data tab. However, if you are using 2010 or 13 version of Excel, you will have to download Power Query from the website of Microsoft. So I go to Data and it says pick up a new query, and I'm going to choose from other sources, one of which is from web. Right. Now, when I click on this, it asks me what is a URL which you want to extract the data from. So it might take a few seconds initially. So it asks me the URL, I paste it. Now this is the URL of the website of the mutual fund, and I get the text file, I press OK. Now, as I press OK, it connects with the website. It is going to give me the data set in the query editor. Now, this is Power Query. If you ask me, Rishabh, why is this important? Why are we not talking about visualization first? Well, let me tell you, visualization is the face of entire structure of Power family. The backbone is Power Pivot and Power Query. So I'm going to show this one simple example before I jump into visualization. So when I look at this data, this is not clean yet. So what I do, I take the help of various buttons of Power Query which says split the column by delimiter, and one of the delimiters says whenever you encounter a semicolon, you can split the columns into multiple ones. And mind you, Rishabh, what is the difference between the text column of Excel and the one that I've used right now? Well, all these steps that I'm undertaking, it's a query which has been automated, which means next time if I refresh the query, all these steps are going to be repeated. So as a fund manager or as a portfolio manager or as a treasury head, you do not have to download the data every day and clean it up. It's all automated. So I'm going to make sure that under the transform tab, this tab tells you how can you transform the data. One of the options is saying use first row as headers. Okay, and then I go ahead and undo or unselect all the null values. Done. Okay. Now I can optimize the view of the screen, and once it is done, I will say file, close and load to Excel or another file or a table. I click on load, and you know what happens now? Approximately 17,000 lines of data, in this case 15,000 lines of data, is going to be populated from the website of Amphi India. So tomorrow when you join back your desk and you want the updated values, all you have to do is click on this refresh button, and as you do so, it again goes back to the website of mutual fund. It cleans up your data and brings your data into this fashion. So based on the scheme code, you can now look at the NAV value, net asset value. It's extremely important for automation of these regularly fetchable answers. So that was my first example. I'm quickly activating the chat window just to see if there are any quick questions. So let me see. Right. John Evans, I'm so glad. Yes, thanks for this. Right. So I hope you got a basic flavor of what Power Query can do. Well, now I'm going to show you a combination of the two. What does it mean? I'm going to show you that how do you combine the Power Query and the desktop into one quick integrated solution. The previous solution was about power of Power Query, automatically extracting data from the web, and now I'm going to take something which will extract or import data, transform, clean it, establish the relationship or help merge queries, drag and drop feature to visualize, and then ask your own question to visualize. Let me show you getting straight to the point without wasting any time. I'm going to open a file which will be talking about few data points. Let me show you those data points first. I have 4 different sheets, correct? Now this could be also in 4 different databases or CSV files. First sheet talks about almost 61,000 rows, and the best part about this is Excel has the limitation of 1 million rows, but Power BI and other members of the Power family, they can work on more than 1 million rows. So that's a heavy data lifting that you can do through Power Query, Power Pivot and Power BI. So right now 61,000 lines of data. It talks about the sales transactions of a sports equipment company, and what I see is region, customer, category, model, color, so normal data. So I have trimmed this data so that you can focus more on the data points. Now before I ask you a question, let me just quickly cover what are the data points in the second, third and fourth. Now in the second, I have the category of the customer, which is gold, platinum, silver. In the third sheet, I have based on silver, gold, platinum, US, Canada, France, Germany, I may want to give a discount, correct? Now, my question to you is, when you look at my screen, can you tell me this data, what is missing in this data? You take your time, compared to what you saw just now, sheet 2 and sheet 3. Can you tell me what is missing in this screen? What data is missing? I have the sales date, region, customer, category, model, list price, quantity. Yeah, I'll be love to hear your views. What do you think is missing from the data? So can you query, one of the questions coming up from John is, can you query a specific tab from multiple workbooks in a folder using a parameter in Power Query? Yes, if each file has the same sheet name, of course. So before I take this question, let me explain. In the data tab, there is something called from folder, right? So in a folder, First, it lists out all the file names, and you can filter out which files do you want to cover, which files you do not want to cover. Then, once you go one level deeper inside this, based on filtering, you can choose the data sources. So just be aware of this feature from Power Query. Right. So customer type and discount is missing. Yes, thanks, John. So yes, customer type and discount is missing. Now, if you were applying this in Excel, you would have probably applied a VLOOKUP or index match or VLOOKUP match. Well, I am not going to do any one of these. I'm going to quickly take a few minutes, apply this in Power BI environment and see how data visualization comes across. So I'm going to open the Power BI, right? I would want, based on that data, a dashboard which looks like this. So based on the 3 years data, I would want to know platinum, gold, silver sales. Based on that 1 year's data, which country had exhibited the maximum sales. If I choose bikes, it should tell me bike sale is coming from which category of customer and which region. So I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to close this and I'm going to reopen this again so that I can show you the entire process from scratch. So a quick demo. I know the time is of essence. So as it opens, I'll show you how to import the data and how to establish merge queries. So what you're about to learn probably in an hour, Power BI, I'll show you in 5 to 6 minutes. Right. So I go to get data from Excel. Of course, you can choose CSV or web. I go to Excel. Right. It asks me which file you want to work on. I pick up that file. Now, in the process, John, the question that you asked me that, can I take specific sheet name? Yes. So this process, what I'm extracting is being recorded in mQuery language. So this entire process is recorded in mQuery language. You can modify the language to include only a specific tab of each sheet. Right. For now, I'll click on edit because the data is not clean. Customer type is not clean. Discount type is not clean. So I click on edit. Now, while I click on edit within the Power BI desktop window, I will very soon see the Power Query window getting open. So they talk to each other. They help each other. And let me just wait for a few seconds. It's creating the connection model. Right. So as it establishes the model, I'm then going to show you how to merge queries, how to connect the data table sets. Right, it's pretty heavy file there. Correct. It's almost there. How do I know? Because in the back end, I can see the different table sets that have been created. So I wish to clean them. If you wish to clean them, you have to do 3 Power Query. And once the data is clean, you are ready for visualization. So I go to edit query. Okay. I'm now in edit query. Next, I wish to see segment category. All these null values should be filled with accessories. Correct? So I go to transform and I click on fill down. Superb. You notice the answer. I also ensure the first row as header is being used. So all these steps that you see on the right hand side is being recorded. If you don't want any step, you can cross that out. It is as good as Control Z. So I can cross the last 2 steps and I'm back to square one. So I go to the same thing, use first row as headers and I press OK. Next, I ensure there are no null columns or values. Why? Because if we scroll down the data, a lot of null values exist and I want next time new data points get added up, it should not include the null values. Right. All these steps have been automated. So next is I would want the discount type should be in a columnar format, not in the cross tab format. Notice cross tab means vertical is one variable, horizontal is another variable, the headers and the first column. Now watch, I choose the first column, the customer type, and I go to transform tab. And then I choose a button called unpivot other columns. 1 second and the data is transformed to something that databases love to see. I've converted cross tab data into a flat file format. Let me show that again to you. Unpivot other columns. That means except the first column, I wish to unpivot all other columns. I double click on attribute and keep the heading as region, and I will also ensure the heading for this is discount percentage. Enter. Once it is done, I would want to go to customer type, because this customer type has the information of gold, platinum, silver. So before I begin, let me clean this data up. I go to use first row as headers. All these steps are being automated. Next, I ensure there are no blank columns, so I go to home and I say please remove those rows which are blank rows. So while I am doing all this, mQuery language is being written. It is the word for automation. Now the most beautiful part coming to your screen. Right, I know this might seem a little fast right now, but I wanted to keep it brief so that in the interest of time you can get a quick flavor. So now the most beautiful part. Hold on, watch this. I wish to know these customer, what type of customer they are, gold, platinum or silver. So I will go to something which is called merge queries. So for that I need to close this Power Query editor. I can also do this from here, merge queries. Let me just show you. If I close and apply, what happens? Close and apply. It takes me to Power BI model. Now you can do the next step. So what I do is I see the Power BI desktop and I can see manage relationships. So this relationships allows me to connect different types of table. This is one way to do that. And another easy way is to go to edit queries. So if you are a heavy user of a VLOOKUP or index or match and your sheet starts hanging up, then this is the trick for you. Watch. I go to sales table, then I go to merge queries. Okay, within merge queries it asks me which tables do you want to merge in, what are the fields. In the first one it's the sales table. I go to the second drop down and I choose customer type. I choose customer name and customer name in both the situations. Now you notice there's something called left outer join. Well, this is going to be in much detail in our program, but for now, customer to customer, and I press OK. Once I do that, I see a last column which harbors something called table. I just want to see whether this customer is gold, platinum or silver. So I click on the small button on the top right and I just specify what information do I want from the second table. As I do so, quickly without writing VLOOKUP or any formula, I get to know now that Casual Bicycle Store is a silver category customer. This is equivalent to VLOOKUP. And why is this important? Because if you had a data of more than 8 to 9 lakh lines, maybe 1 million, correct? Now, when you write VLOOKUP index match for that big data, your sheet starts hanging up, but not Power Query, not Power BI. But hold on, the beautiful part is still yet to be covered. I go to transform. Now, for the time, I could have changed this on answer to a different customer type to, let's say, text. Depending on the number, I can also convert that to number. But hold on, I wish to merge query once again to know the discount for the customer. So I go to merge query, I go to merge query K. Next step, and I say that look, I wish to connect with the discount type. But hold on, here I have many-to-many relationships. One, I need to choose the customer type from both the sheets, from both the tables. Next, I choose customer's region. So you notice one digit indicates the first variable, second digit indicates the second variable. I do the same thing in the second table and I see the same sequence. Now when I do press OK, I get another column in this table, and that is going to do that VLOOKUP match or index match work very fast. I click on the drop down and I choose the discount percentage and I press OK. So I exactly know based on the category of the customer type and based on the region, I've been able to now tell you how much discount to be applied. And all this is automated. If next day you get 10 new transactions in your raw data CSV or sales file, all these steps will be done. You don't have to again copy paste, so you save yourself from copy pasting. Now this is about data preparation, right? If the data has been prepared and your data is been connected, you will be able to apply so many important things. Let me show you. So once this is over, I'm going to go to the relationship table. The relationship table is probably showing you right now how our tables connected, and this is in short telling you that if you want a visualization and want to know things from multiple tables, how should you connect. For now, let me go to the dashboard area. Let me click on the pie chart, and I will do two things. One, I will click on the customer type, and secondly, I'll click on the sales, gross sales. Now, notice since they had been connected through this table, you are able to see that out of this total answer, almost more than half of it is silver category sales. What if I had just deleted this relationship? Delete the relationship, right? I go to the main tab and I see 1/3 of everybody. So Rishabh, this customer type must be known here. So what I do, I connect customer name to customer, and this is what you see as a connection one to many. If I can do that for the rest, it'll be amazing. For now, I also connect the segment category to the category here. Done. Now once you connect, you will be able to make a consolidation chart. So I'm just going to quickly make one quick visualization before I wrap this up. So I go to filter. I can go to filter and I can apply the region there. So I pick out the region, I put that in the filter, and you notice something like this. So if I choose Canada or France or Germany or UK or US. So right. So this automatically makes sure the visualization is updated. Of course, I will show you the entire details about the different products of the sales. So I click on the tree map, and in the tree map I put the product type. So product type, where are you? I'm going to put the segment category, and I'm going to put the gross sales. Okay, whoa, you notice how in detail I'm able to see what product are you working on, right? Now, of course, I can make sure it is not the segment category, it's business segment. Since they are connected, I can see the visualization turning into that region. Now, every visualization you will have in the background, the settings, how can you make these labels bigger? For example, if I turn on this and allow me to make the number value a little bigger than what it is right now, correct? Right, it's a very small amount because I just chose Australia, but if I choose all of them, you will see the entire effect. Right, so that's the visualization part. I can also decide to ask a question. So when I ask a question, let me ask something like this. I'm going to ask a question. So I say gross sales by, and as you start typing in, you get more options, right? And based on what you choose, for example, segment category or customer type, you will get a data or a visualization. Now this, I believe, is an amazing technique. Reason being, you can create your own query just by writing or typing what you want. Of course, this is just a start, but mind you, this is a visualization which is available in the form of Power BI, query and pivot, and you can data lift really heavy tasks. So just to summarize, what are the different tricks, why do we need to learn? We need to learn Power Query, Power Pivot, Power BI combination because it does a huge data heavy lifting. It helps you blend and prepare the data, automate it, visualization. In fact, we are always on the lookout of new tricks that we can teach you. So one of the tricks we often make use of, which I'm going to show to you, is let me go to edit query. If any one of you have worked with flash fill in Excel, let me tell you, there is something called flash fill also in Power BI. For example, if I go to sales sheet, or for that matter, I go to sales sheet. Let me see if I can give an example to you. Right. So imagine you want to combine 2-3 multiple columns, right? Right. So let me look at the question here. How many of you have worked with this feature called column from examples? Just wanted to know that. Any of you have worked with column from examples? It's an amazing feature. I'm going to show that trick to you. But just, John, thank you for your response. You would agree with me that's one of the easiest features to use and one of the most powerful features. Now, I would like to know from you all, for those who are attending, what kind of a domain you work on. Is it finance? Is it accounting? And I can give you relevant examples to be able to tell how can you apply this in your work. Right. So John has worked on this column from example. Anybody who would like to share in the chat window? Yeah, if you could just type in the chat window, accounting, finance. Okay. So yeah, I've got two responses. Shagun, accounting, Divya, finance, retail sales reporting. Okay, Harikishan, accounting. Right. So basically, what I could see is predominantly is it's accounting and finance and followed by sales, right? So when you work with finance and accounting data, you are working with budget, actuals. You have to clean the data. Automatically, it should run into a charting system, right? I don't want you to copy and paste every time. So now that I've got a basic flavor of where are you coming from, let me share this with you. Suppose I create a quick sample column from example from all columns, right? And I wish to show that this first three letters are taken and then helmets are taken. If I press enter, it gives me some kind of a visualization, what kind of information I would want. So if it's a series, I would like to give one more example. Let's say in here, I will give one more example such as BIK, enter. Now, when I give two examples, I see the others have also followed suit. And once I like this output, I press OK. Now, this query has been written without any language. So that's about one very, very important example of column from examples. Right. So what I'm about to do is, I know it's a time is running out, so I'll just quickly cover of how this entire program is based out of. So what I've been doing since last few years, I'm going to share that with you in summary format. We've spoken about the brief Power Query plus Power BI. Of course, Power Pivot takes even more time. If you ask me, the next level is Power Pivot, right? So we have seen some examples of how do you work with mutual funds and extract the data points out. We have seen multiple such examples from how do you combine the power of the desktop and the Power Query. Let me tell you, at Yoda Learning, we don't want that you skip and you just run in circles to learn some new subject. No, that's not what I want. What I would want is that we have a proper structure. Instead of spending months on learning some things, I would want us to learn something in 16 hours. And that is the reason I, Rishabh Pugalia, with all experience that I've gathered since last 14 years, I'm going to share the course for our Power BI. So I ensure that in this program, which is going to be a very live, interactive session, not this small 20-minute session like this, you'll be learning customized to your finance domain or accounting domain or retail sales domain, how to use Power Query, Power BI, and Power Pivot, the DAX functions, right? So week one, we are going to talk about Power Query introduction, because this I believe is the easiest to use to begin with, and it gives you the firepower to prepare your data. And you saw a glimpse of this today. And then we go deeper inside consolidating data, merging queries, and a bit of M language, which is the backbone of Power Query's work. We ensure that we take all case studies which I have shown to you even deeper. Next, one of the very crucial points is data modeling. So if you have spoken to some BI expert, you will have heard them speak about Alteryx or ClickSense and other software which are very expensive to use. This software is free for you to use. So we'll see how to model data, make complex functions using DAX functions. DAX is the formula for the Power family, just the way VLOOKUP sum is the formula for Excel. Right. So next week we'll talk about in detail about the calculate function and all such functions which are part of the KPIs. You want to compare last year versus this year. Any finance person, any accounting person, any salesperson would like to know the numbers behind last year versus this year, same time last year, and so on. Right. So we ensure we take 5 case studies, and you can see on my screen one case study which will try to discuss multiple different techniques to be used together. First example will be where you use top 25 Power Query features. Next case study will take something from multiple industry domains combined. For example, based on comparison, volume, trend, or the life cycle of entire numbers. Next, so I'll take some example from the HR and consulting area. Then I'll go to the retail sales. My team ensures that you get some good practice case studies even beyond these 5 case studies, because until you do it and somebody gives you feedback, this is going to be a very difficult learning. So I'm sure you would have tried learning self-learning, but then with our online webinar session, we are going to give you a very online live feedback about Power Query and Power BI, and you can also share your data where we show you how to apply this on your workbook, right? So that's a quick one. Can you extract daily weather conditions like rain sum for entire country? Well, John, the biggest power that Power Query gives you, and you must try this, because of course in the program we discuss all this in detail, but you must try this. You should go to data, you should go to the new query, and you should go to from other sources to be able to go to from web. And then I'll test with 2 or 3 URLs. I can tell you that this is a very fast and automated solution to fetch data from weather condition. Just to answer another another answer from your screen, I'm going to open Power BI because there's something new which is very, very important. When you go to new sources and you take a web, Power BI has something even more advanced. For example, it says give me the basic URL. So for example, I go to, let's say, this entire link. Just assume it's a weather link. I control V and I say okay. Now I'm not giving the text URL, I've just given the website URL, right? So in a moment you will not only see a preview window, you'll also see the tables. Let this page open up. This is a new feature of Power BI, still in a beta stage, and that's an important part, to keep updated yourself. So when I look at this table called document, you see a web view, and this web view is trying to open a preview of the same website of the link that you have shared. And this button which lies at the low level is one very, very example of how Power BI is daily updating. Almost every week or month they are updating at a table using example. Of course time is short, but I'm just giving you a brief idea about how do you proceed to test this to extract weather condition like rain sum for an entire country. So I showed you 2 options. One is from Power BI and one is from Power Query. So I am assuming you got a good idea just in the 20 minutes that I could, 25 minutes I could. This is what is all about. So I know we are almost at the end of today's demo, but thanks everybody. My emails are open if you have any one-to-one questions on how would you want to proceed. Do you want any topic based video? Do you want to join our one-to-one webinar session? And we can schedule the time out at different times of the different globe. So we have 2 timings as of now before we start with more timings. One is at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to start few batches, and 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time, so that working professionals can take full advantage of these one-to-one learning sessions. So do write to me with your queries. Think about it, have a good night's sleep, and see if you could just articulate your question and your requirement, and we can get back to you with more details, right? Yeah. Any book to initiate basic base to Power Query? Well, I've read through the books, but I personally believe, videos are the best way. Of course, you can start with a lot of Udemy and YouTube videos, but what happens is after a point, you would want to customize. this program to your work. So Daisy, we'll email you about the fees and the schedule that you can possibly choose from. So I know time's running out, and I will take your leave. So Saki, everybody who has any questions, please send us some questions on the email. Yes, we can also work on financial instrument. If you could just share what you want over the email, we'll definitely get back to you in 48 hours. Making sure that you get the response that you are looking for. So thank you so much. I am Rishabh signing off, and I will take your queries in the email, because I understand this is going to be a very, very specific custom questions that you're going to ask to me. Thank you so much for attending.